Distinguished
at the private sector.
Where
The
official opening ceremony of the 14th National Party Congress.
women carry it forward. Future.
64 times, marking one of the region's to 25th January, taking place from 19 January to 25th January 2026, Hanoi capital.
Good morning from Hanoi. Today marks a significant moment as the Communist Party of Vietnam opens its 14th National Party Congress, one of the country's most closely watched political events. Over the coming days, key decisions will be discussed that shape the nation's development path for the years ahead.
And this event is not only a milestone for national leadership, but a moment that reflects the aspirations and expectations of the entire nation.
Vietnam Today brings you special live coverage of this landmark event with in-depth reporting, expert analysis, and live connections from across the country.
The official opening ceremony of the 14th National Party Congress will take place at 8 a.m. this morning, local time, marking the beginning of a new chapter in Vietnam's political life.
Throughout today's broadcast, we will connect live with multiple locations, offering viewers a comprehensive picture of how the historic moment is currently being observed nationwide. Our main point here will be in Hanoi, which will bring you the latest developments and expert insights, while reporters across the country capture the atmosphere on the ground. We'll be linking to our team at the National Convention Center, the venue of the Congress in Hanoi, to follow key moments of the opening ceremony. We'll also connect with our reporters in Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam's economic hub, to hear reflections from citizens, businesses, and young people on the significance of this Congress. And from Da Nang, we'll explore perspectives from central Vietnam, a region playing an increasingly important role in the country's development and connectivity. We will also have a special live link from the Cheung Sa Special Administrative Region, the nation's frontline outpost.
And to help us better understand the significance of this historic moment, we're joined today by two distinguished guests with deep experience in diplomacy, governance, and international affairs. And they will offer insights not only into the meaning of the 14th National Party Congress, but also into how Vietnam's leadership and strategic vision are viewed from both domestic and global perspectives. And joining us in the studio is Ambassador Bùi Thế Giang, former Deputy Permanent Representative of Vietnam to the United Nations. With decades of experience in diplomacy and international negotiations, Ambassador Giang has been closely involved in shaping Vietnam's foreign policy during key periods of integration and global engagement. We're also honored to welcome Madame Tôn Nữ Thị Ninh, former Deputy Chair of the National Assembly's Foreign Affairs Committee and former Ambassador of Vietnam to the European Union and Belgium. Ambassador Ninh is a respected voice in international relations and strategic dialogue, and she brings a unique perspective on diplomacy, cultural understanding, and Vietnam's role in a rapidly changing global environment. Thank you to our distinguished guests.
Pleasure. And now we begin with live updates from Hanoi on a major national event drawing widespread attention at home and abroad, the 14th National Congress of the Communist Party of Vietnam. So let's now connect with our reporter Khánh Minh, who has been at the venue since early this morning covering the event. So Khánh Minh, what's the latest from there?
I'm reporting from the National Convention Center, where the 14th National Party Congress will officially open in just a few minutes. Now, yesterday on January the 19th, on behalf of key leaders of the party and state, Chairman of the National Assembly and member of Politburo Chen Thanh-Mẫn chaired the preparatory session. Now, during that session, Party General Secretary To Lam and other delegates observed a minute of silence in commemoration of late Party General Secretary Nguyễn Phú Trọng and delegates of the 13th Party Central Committee who passed away during the 13th Congress term. And also during the preparatory session of the Congress unanimously approved of the preparatory sessions program, the working regulations of Congress, the Congress work program, and the election regulations of the 14th National Party Congress. Yesterday also, the Congress elected a presidium consisting of 60 members of the Politburo. The Congress also elected a secretariat of 5 members and a delegate eligibility verification board comprising 13 members. Now, the preparatory session unanimously approved of a report on the eligibility verification of delegates to the 14th National Party Congress presented by the board. And accordingly, all 1,586 delegates summoned to the Congress are qualified delegates. Now, today, January the 20th, 1,586 delegates representing 5.6 million party members are set to take part in discussions on key topics, and they comprise of the elected delegates in accordance with the law, members of the 13th Party Central Committee, appointed delegates, and members of the party committees of Hanoi, Ho Chi Minh City, the military, the Central Public Security Forces, central party agencies, and also the government, the National Assembly, Vietnam Fatherland Front, and appointed delegates from overseas Vietnamese party committees. And the Congress is set to discuss and adopt a number of very important documents, including major reports, namely the political report, a report reviewing the theoretical and practical issues of socialist-oriented đổi mới or renewal over the past 40 years, a report reviewing 15 years of implementations of the party statutes, and a report assessing the directions and also the leadership of the 13th Party Central Committee. Now, after months of careful planning, all preparations in terms of security, of logistics, communications, and also of healthcare ceremonial arrangements are fully in place to ensure the smooth and solemn organization as well as the success of the 14th National Party Congress. And Vietnam Today will continue to bring you the latest updates of the 14th National Party Congress in our bulletins. Now back to the studio.
So back with our guests at the studio, both of you have witnessed several party congresses over the years and in different roles and also at different stages of your careers and lives. So could you share with us your very first personal memory with a party congress?
So let's start with Ambassador Zhang.
Well, thank you very much for the question. To me, I have been, until now, in my retirement too, have been a part of a technical staff doing the translation and interpretation for party congresses since the 5th National Party Congress in February 1983. And I would say that each party congress is special and specific in its own nature. But if I'm to pick one of those congresses, then without any hesitation, I choose the 6th National Party Congress, exactly 40 years ago. The party that launched Renew Doi Mới. And the party that, as a member of the technical staff, as I said, sitting there, doing my own job, but listening and watching everything that moved on the stage and throughout the Congress hall, I felt that this is the body that has and will continue to decide the way ahead for the nation, not just the and therefore I was very much interested in seeing how things evolved there, particularly moving from discussions, deliberations, to conclusion and to action afterwards. Given the domestic and international context of 1986, I believe that Sixth National Congress is and has been and will continue to be a most historic Congress of the country and of the party.
Well, thank you so much for your answer. And turning to, yes, if you can add.
I think that the Sixth Party Congress to me, where I served alongside Comrade Zhang, you know, we were among the translation teams. But, you know, looking back, I think it was a watershed moment because the Sixth Party Congress that introduced Đổi mới, reform and renewal, saved the country.
Wow.
I put it bluntly like this because we were, frankly, on the verge of economic collapse. This has to be said because in those years, I mean, we were even hungry. You know, the notion of hunger no longer more or less exists today, but in those years, you could mention hunger. So that's the historic significance of that Congress. Now, fast forward to the Congress today, the 14th Congress. I think, in a sense, it's Đổi mới 2.0, as some, you know, foreign observers have mentioned. It's Đổi mới 2.0, and in a sense, it's we are on the brink of takeoff. The hope is that this is the moment. It's a watershed moment. It's a moment for all of us, led by the party and the government, to organize, take off. And as two authors of the book, Vietnam Star, they are betting on Vietnam's take.
Right.
But they are well-intentioned, but we've got to make it happen.
Yes.
And to make it happen, of course, the peace is linked, the government is, you know, sort of devising and implementing, and all of us have to contribute and support. So I think with this party Congress, I say that we have a date with destiny. That's my perception.
Yes.
So this is now or never. Well, I dare not mention a certain song, but you know, the feeling is there, the urgency, you know, the significance.
Right. And I really resonate with the part where you said the Sixth Party Congress is the one that saved the country. So if you could name the role of the 14th Congress, what would it be?
I think that the current party Congress has to build upon what we have achieved over the past, let's say, 40 years.
Since Đổi mới, yes.
But when you say that, you have to say to make it explicit that you have to strategize further. It's not a given. In other words, the leadership will have to really observe, you know, far and wide, think deeply, and, you know, devise a strategy and an implementation plan that is supported by all and that is doable and that may offer big chances of success. So it's got to be more practical than just the strategy plus plans, effective plans for implementation. And when we say effective plans, it's not just that it's well thought out. It's got to have popular support.
Yes.
It may be well thought out, but if you don't sell it to the people and they don't care or they don't buy into it, then something is still missing.
Of course, I think we can talk for hours on ends
Yes.
on the 6th National Congress.
Yes.
Madam Ning has just mentioned that 86 was only 11 years after the end of the war.
Yeah.
A very long, very
Arduous.
ravaged war. And during the war, as a veteran, I would say that everyone of the country was ready to sacrifice everything, including their own life for the country, for the revolution, for the party. But only 11 years after the end of the war, economically, the country was in bad shape. And not only economically, because in English there is a proverb that says, a hungry belly has no ears. People started to query, to question the leadership of the party. Now, the country is now put on a launching pad.
Right.
Moving into a new, totally new territory of development for the nation.
Right. Well, thank you so much, both the guests, for very insightful sharings and comments. Obviously, Vietnam right now stands at a very different position than we were at the 6th National Party Congress. And it's all thanks to all peoples, the leadership of the party, the states, and the governments in their policy and directions to lead us to where we are today, from the brink of collapse to now over to standing at a launching pad to further propel us forward into the new era. And we now turning over to, looking at the, all the live locations pointed today. Huyen, can you tell us more about how the situation is happening on the ground?
Well, Hanoi is at the center of today's historic event. The spirit of the 14th National Party Congress is being felt across the country. We now turn to Ho Chi Minh City, the nation's economic engine, which is marking this important moment with a vibrant atmosphere and a series of major projects welcoming the Congress. Let's go live now to Ho Chi Minh City, where our reporter Lộc Dương is standing by. Lộc Dương, good morning. What is the atmosphere like in the city today?
Thank you, studio, and good morning from Ho Chi Minh City. As Vietnam officially opens the 14th National Party Congress, the atmosphere here in the country's economic hub is both dynamic and optimistic. Across the city, banners, public spaces, and business districts reflect a shared sense of anticipation about the directions that will be set for the next phase of national development. Ho Chi Minh City is home to a large community of international businesses and foreign investors, many of whom are closely following this party congress, as the outcomes will have a direct impact on Vietnam's economic environment, reform priorities, and long-term growth strategy. And joining me now is Mr. Sam Cosmo, a foreign investor who has been living and working in Vietnam for many years, and he's also a writer and co-author of this book, Vietnam, Asia's Rising Star. He brings an international perspective on how this important political event is being viewed from the business and investment of community. Thank you so much, Mr. Sam Cosmo, for being with us today.
I appreciate being invited. Thank you very much.
From your perspective as a foreign investor and writer living in Vietnam, how closely are international businesses following the opening of the 14th National Party Congress, and why does this event matter to them?
Well, in my opinion, any serious investor is paying very, very close attention to the Congress, because a serious investor would know that every 5 years there's a party Congress, and during that Congress, many decisions are made, big picture decisions. What direction is the country going? And so they need to pay attention to that, especially in today's world where we're much more globalized. There's new issues like AI arriving, And so people who have invested in this country want to know, okay, what's next? Where are we going from here? So far, so good, but what's next?
What key signals or policy directions do foreign investors like yourself hope to see, particularly in terms of economic reform, market openness, or long-term stability?
Well, I think that last part, long-term stability, is the most important one, because just in the past year, maybe the past 2 years, there's been some significant changes that have been made in Vietnam. ERA's rise, the various resolutions, Resolution 68 being the most prominent one. And then, of course, the recent launch of the IFC, the International Financial Center. And so, because those are really good ideas, in my opinion, they're good policies, they push the country along the right path. And I think this Party Congress, I'm hoping, will reveal that policy changes that were made over the last year, they will continue, they will get implemented, they will move forward, and hopefully there's more to come.
At a time when the global economy is facing uncertainties and geopolitical tensions, how do you assess Vietnam's position and attractiveness as an investment destination moving forward after this Congress?
Is there a country in the world that has a chance to grow 10% per year for 5-6 years in a row? I don't know what country that is, if there is. And even, is there a country in the world that has grown 6.5% for the last 25 years in a row? There's not too many countries like that as well. And so if you combine ambition with stability, my message to foreign investors is now is a really good time to come to Vietnam. And these policies that are coming out, the IFC, ERA's rise, the restructuring of government, restructuring of the provinces, the government clearly stating that the private sector is going to lead the way to this double-digit growth for the next few years. That's an attractive package. And, Vietnam is 100 million people, a labor force of around 55, 60 million people. It has all the metrics. Now, whether those metrics translate into true GDP growth, we'll see.
Thank you so much, Mr. Cosmo, for your valuable insights.
Thank you. Thanks for the invitation. I appreciate it.
The 14th National Party Congress is not only a defining political moment for Vietnam, but also a key reference point for the international business community as it shapes expectations for economic reform, investment flows, and long-term development priorities. And here in southern Vietnam, those priorities are already taking shape through a series of major infrastructure and development projects, from transport networks to urban and industrial expansion, that are expected to play a crucial role in driving growth in the years ahead. From Ho Chi Minh City, this is Lộc Dương reporting for Vietnam Today. Back to you in the studio.
Well, thank you, Lộc Dương, for the latest updates from Ho Chi Minh City on the atmosphere surrounding the 14th National Party Congress. Looking back at the past year, Vietnam's infrastructure breakthroughs stand out as one of the most impressive achievements nationwide, says policy analysts and economic observers. At the 13th National Party Congress, leaders called modern integrated infrastructure a strategic breakthrough. By that, they mean infrastructure that connects roads to ports, rails to cities, and transport system to digital systems. So growth is faster, more efficient, and more balanced. Now, since 2020, Vietnam has more than tripled its expressways from 1,000 kilometers to 3,200. The North-South High-Speed Railway will connect Hanoi to Ho Chi Minh City, offering an alternative to long road journeys and short haul, 1,541 kilometers from Ngọc Hoi Station in Hanoi to Thủ Thiêm Station in Ho Chi Minh City. With these stops along the way, including Vinh, Đồng Hới, Huế, Đà Nẵng, Quy Nhơn, Nha Trang, key population centers. The central government agencies are currently coordinating around 20 provinces and cities along the corridor to make this happen, with a goal of 2035. Now, according to official Ministry of Construction summaries, 564 key infrastructure work and projects were launched, inaugurated or recorded nationwide in 2025, with nearly 140 major projects completed and put into operation. The total registered investment exceeded $205 billion, approximately 75% coming from private and non-state capital and the remainder from public or state funding. Now over here, the Red River Boulevard project is designed to create a 40-kilometer riverfront corridor as a new strategic growth axis for Hanoi. City authorities say the corridor covers around 11,000 hectares across multiple wards and districts and is planned as an integrated urban and transport system, combining new bridges, arterial roads, public transport, green spaces, and cross-river links. According to Hanoi officials, the project aims to ease pressure on the historic inner city, strengthen connectivity, and open new development space. Groundbreaking for key components began in late 2025, marking the start of early-stage implementation. And finally, over here, there's Long Thanh International Airport, Vietnam's next major aviation hub. Parts of the airport are now in place, including the runway means takeoff and landing, the taxiways that guide aircraft on the ground, and the apron where planes park, load passengers, fuel up, and are serviced. With these essentials completed, the airport is preparing flights used to check safety system, navigation, and ground operations before carrying passengers. The plan is to begin those test flights by the end of 2025, ahead of commercial operations in the first half of 2026. Draft documents for the 14th National Party Congress underscore a policy focus on improving capital mobilization. Efforts are underway to diversify funding sources and prioritize projects that deliver the strongest economic returns. To address this, policy is shifting away from heavy reliance on the state budget. Public-private partnerships, or PPPs, are being expanded, encouraging companies, banks, and investors to help finance roads, railways, metro systems, and airports. Now, in the Congress documents, strategic infrastructure refers to large-scale transport projects that strengthen connectivity, ease pressure on major cities, open up new development space, and gradually form the backbone of the national transport network.
Well, thank you, Dylan, for such thorough breakdown of the the progress of Vietnam's development so far. And we're back with our guests at the studio. And I would like to pick up from Madame Ning's previous answers, where she have mentioned about the effective implementation on the ground. I think that human factor is very central, but also we have to take in account of the global situation. And the 14th Party Congress is taking place at a particularly complex moment globally. So how do you think that this Congress is responding to such fluctuating global situation?
I believe that over the years since the end of the war, the return of peace, and particularly since the Sixth Party Congress, Vietnam has accumulated experience in dealing with the world and the region while also charting its own path towards development. Now that we look back and we look into the world today and we look forward, what do we see? I think that Vietnam has developed an ability to have I call it a principled, flexible approach. It has shown flexibility, but it doesn't mean a yes policy with everybody. Flexibility gains respect and is effective only if it is principled. So I'll mention just a practical fact. Recently, there was a public call for support to the Cuban people, and there was overwhelming support, and we forwarded the assistance, the donations to Cuba. So to us, it's very natural in the harshest times. You know, how can we let them down? So that's what I call flexibility with principle.
Let me continue with what Madam Lee has started. I totally agree. I cannot say no. I cannot say anything better than her expression of Vietnam's principled, flexible approach, strategy, and policy. Flexibility, not taking sides, does not mean we say yes to everything and to everyone. No, very, very different. I remember when we hosted the summit, the Trump and Kim Jong-un summit in Hanoi. Most recently, I think the positive response by General Secretary To Lam to the proposal by President Trump to be part of a panel, a council on Israel and Arab. I think it is not coincidental. It was a well-thought, well-chosen decision made by President Trump to approach General Secretary To Lam. And he was right when General Secretary To Lam, as I said, responded positively. That shows how we have been involved in our foreign policy. And that is, but in my mind, that is part of the issue, our flexibility, our principled approaches. But another point, which is extremely important, no less important than the other, is our sense of humanity, our love, peace, which reflects the nature of this nation and epitomized by top leadership and country. That shows how we are in the world today.
I think there's much weight to by the principles that we have set. That would be the foundation for us moving forward. And speaking of looking ahead, I would like to ask both of our guests about what do you think would be the key advantages of Vietnam, whether it's economically, politically, or culturally moving forward, and what might be the most pressing challenges that Vietnam may have to face and address in the near future?
Very, very difficult question. You know, because it is not because we don't have anything to say. We have too many things to say, actually. You know, because economically, the whole world has witnessed Vietnam develop so fast, so sustainable, so impressively. And more important, such developments are part of our policy to ensure stability of the country and our responsibility towards other countries, towards the world. Politically, I believe every observer of the world would recognize and acknowledge and appreciate the stability of this country. Given so many ups and downs, so many behavioral upheavals around the country and around the world, Vietnam has remained stable. By stable, I don't mean static. No, totally different. We are energetic, we are vibrant. But politically, we have seen changes in the leadership, we have seen changes in the population, we have seen changes in our structure, territorial governance structure, for example. Yeah. But at the same time, particularly as Madam Ning has mentioned, everything, all these and everything else have been predicted, foreseen by the population, foreseen by observers, and therefore nobody is surprised at it. And in such chaotic world, economic development, fast and sustainable, political stability are enough to be impressive to outside world. But culturally, I believe the development of tourism, of tourism as a part, small part actually, of the much broader sense of the word culture, shows how Vietnam has been watched, followed, and appreciated by the world. I believe Vietnam has been, for the past several years, among the top destination countries for tourism. And its culture, that is the core, that is the gist of what attracts foreigners to Vietnam. So, as I said, the question raised by you is very legitimate, but actually very difficult to answer because we have too many things to share, particularly given time constraint today.
Yes. Well, now I want to go back to the idea of in the eyes of the world, what about Vietnamese attractiveness of its culture? I would like to, on this occasion, to say that Vietnam has a story to tell, a narrative to tell. I call it the Vietnam story. And the Vietnam story is not a one-off. It includes, looking back at the whole history of Vietnam, millennial history, and the more recent history of the 20th century and now the beginning of the 21st century. Vietnam has a story to share with the world. And in that story, as Ambassador Giang mentioned, the humanity, the compassion, the love of peace, attachment to peace, is really transparent. And it's all the more precious when the world is so challenging. The world configuration is so challenging.
Right.
And so Vietnam has something to offer to the world at this precise juncture.
Yes, I completely agree with you, because now we look at all the figures showing Vietnam's growth, but what they don't see is what's behind those numbers, what built up for Vietnam to gain such achievements. And so together now we look back on the 40 years of renewal, journey of change, resilience and progress with Dylan over there.
"40 years ago, in 1986, Vietnam stood at a historic crossroads, emerging from war, poverty, and prolonged isolation. With the launch of Đổi Mới, Vietnam embarked on a renewal path that reshaped its entire development trajectory. After 4 decades, Vietnam's economy has expanded more than 60 times, from around $8 billion in 1986 to approximately $514 billion in 2025, placing Vietnam among the top 40 economies globally and 4th in ASEAN. Economic growth has gone hand in hand with social progress, as income per capita rose from just a few $100s to over $5,000 today. Since the early 1990s, the national poverty rate has fallen from more than 70% to under 1% by late 2025, lifting millions of people out of poverty. At the same time, key human development indicators such as life expectancy rising to over 73 years. According to the 2025 Human Development Report, Vietnam's Human Development Index reached 0.76 in 2023, up from 0.499 in 1990, a rise of more than 50%, placing Vietnam in the high human development category and ranking 93rd out of 193 countries. Today, Vietnam stands as a confident, deeply integrated nation, a success story of renewal, resilience, and development, laying firm foundations for a new era ahead. 40 years after Đổi Mới, Vietnam looks very different from the country it once was. For those who lived here through that journey, the change wasn't abstract, it was personal. Now let's hear their stories in Vietnam.
He was there in the 5th Party Congress in 1982, when Vietnam was still rebuilding from war and hardship. For decades later, Ambassador Sadi Salama has watched a different country take shape, confident, open, and connected to the world.
I am so happy to see Vietnam developed very fast. And if we would like to compare how Vietnam now and how Vietnam was 40 years ago, everyone can see the important change in the daily life of the Vietnamese. We are very proud to see our friendly Vietnam became one of the important partners to many countries in the world.
International partners also watched the country open and build, from early infrastructure to a wider reform agenda. Thomas Bo Peterson remembers a Vietnam struggling to survive 40 years ago and a Vietnam opening to the world nowadays.
As I walked around those days, I was often thinking, my God, it will take them 100 years to make this country a good place for people to live. But when I came back to Vietnam once again in 1994, that's when I realized that Vietnam was getting huge infrastructure into place. And I think that was the moment I realized Vietnam is going to succeed. And I think one of the great achievements of Vietnam is that no other developing country in the world has done what Vietnam has done in such a short time.
Few developing countries have moved this fast, and few foreigners have seen it so close. Andy Solomon arrived in 1992. He stayed for decades, documenting a Vietnam on the edge of change. In 1996, he was among the few foreign journalists watching the 8th Party Congress up close. Through a photojournalist's lens, modernization was measured in everyday details.
One night, a few years ago now, and there was a group of young people standing around watching something. And I went over to have a look to see what they were all looking at. And I was moving around from side to side to try to find a way to be able to see. And I realized I didn't see. And then I realized why I couldn't see was because now all of these young people were much taller than they were before. And this is kind of an indirect consequence of a better living standard, a better lifestyle, more money, more wealth. That people eat better, their diet is better, and the young people are growing taller. And for me, that was a really big moment where I realized just how profound and how fundamental and how far-reaching the changes in Vietnam had actually become.
Vietnam's story moved from survival to reform and now to aspiration. As the 14th National Party Congress opens, the question is how to turn that aspiration into delivery, with people at the center and implementation at scale.
Now, for the first time, the draft political report to the 14th National Congress explicitly affirms the theory of the renovation path as an integral component of the party's ideological foundation, alongside Marxism, Leninism, and Ho Chi Minh ideology. That is not merely a theoretical addition, but a reflection of Vietnam's confidence in transforming lived experience into enduring ideological guidance.
According to Dr. Joe Pateman, this recognition marks a profound evolution in socialist thinking. Rather than treating socialism as a rigid model, Vietnam approaches it as a dynamic process, one that evolves through practice, reflection, and creative adaptation.
The innovation signals a rejection of dogmatism on the one hand, and it also underscores the legitimacy of nationally specific paths to socialism under conditions of uneven development and global integration. And it really consolidates ideological confidence by presenting Doi Moi as a stable, historically grounded, strategic orientation rather than as a temporary or as an exceptional deviation.
What sets Vietnam apart is that renovation theory grows from real life. Development is not for growth's sake, but for people's clearly reflected in outcomes such as the sharp reduction in multidimensional poverty.
Theory and practice together is very important when you consider the theory of the renovation pathway, because Vietnam is still continuously growing, and it's not just growth for growth's sake, but it's rather growth for the benefit of the people and the country. So you can see things like, for example, the multidimensional poverty index has been extraordinarily reduced, even just in a short period of time. And that goes to show you the combination of theory and practice and how it works in Vietnam.
scholars observe that Vietnam's ability to adjust policies while remaining rooted in Marxist-Leninist principle has contributed to broader debate on socialist developments worldwide.
Vietnam's adjustments made in Doi Moi has been a anchor point for a lot of the international socialist movement. Socialists around the world are able to look to Vietnam and say, no, the analysis has been made and adjustments have been made, remaining rooted in Marxist-Leninism, but continued on the socialist path for Vietnam, and we can point to these successes. And this is done through an analysis and socialist policies of the Communist Party of Vietnam that is a success for the entire international socialist movement. Right, so it's a major contribution to the international movement.
By elevating the theory of the renovation path, Vietnam reinforces the unity of theory and practice, strengthening party leadership and setting a clear ideological direction for the new era.
Now, we've just witnessed how our international friends reacted to the 40 years of change, renewal for Vietnam. And so I would really love to ask that regarding this Party Congress, if you had to identify one priority or two strategic priorities that best capture the spirit of the opening of this Congress, what would they be? I would want to start with Madame Ning.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, I think that, of course, technology and innovation, but I will not emphasize that because it's more or less evident and a given.
Yes.
So perhaps I will rather go into the human resource, talent side of it. Because at the end of the day, who's going to innovate? People. And people here is going to be people in Vietnam. And when I say people in Vietnam, it's not just the Vietnamese, of course.
Yes.
It will include foreign nationals, but more particularly overseas Vietnamese. So with the, the resolution on education, and so I very much support the emphasis on elite education. So this is a discussion and a kind of objective that needs to be undertaken if we want to attract and to build up the talent, the human talent.
Yes, exactly. And in the spirit of that, it's very important for us to cultivate the core strength of Vietnam by cultivating homegrown talents. And to Ambassador Giang, same question. If you can point out one strategic priority that captured the spirit of the opening of this Congress.
I believe when the party and the government decided to choose 3 breakthroughs for the country, it was both practical and visionary. First, institutions. Without institutions, you cannot develop further. Without institutions, you would have a lot of barriers to development. Back to the point Madam Ning has mentioned. You talk about institutions. You're talking about infrastructures. But you cannot achieve anything of the two if you don't have human resources.
Yes.
Madam Ning has mentioned Politburo's resolution
71
on education. I cannot agree more. But I would add another resolution on health care. It is in this country with those policies that the motto of having no one left behind is better realized.
Have you seen, international shift in international positions of Vietnam internationally has been shifted throughout all of these policy changes? I would want to start with Madam Ning.
Obviously, Vietnam is a hot destination, not just for tourists, but for sort of heads of state and heads of government. We are becoming an international foreign affairs diplomatic engagement destination. So the fact that the Vietnamese leadership They are very busy with, leading the country, but they set aside the time to host all those delegations. I think that we are building a kind of rampart, so on which we can rely. Because when I say we are a reliable, predictable partner now in responsible also partner in international relations. One of the evidence is the fact that people feel comfortable, and ready to come and sit down with Vietnam. And the success of the signing of the Hanoi Convention is another example.
Yes.
We have to make the most of this sort of solid, and prestigious position in the eyes of the world and of the region. I'm sure nobody today is regretting
that decision.
Welcoming Vietnam, making friends with Vietnam, doing business with Vietnam, cooperating in, establishing proposals, initiatives. It fits wonderfully. I'm sure you agree.
Well, I totally agree with you.
Yeah, good.
You have to have my vote.
Yeah. Thank you.
But as a foreign policy practitioner, I would say that pride is the word that reflects our own feelings when we come to other parts of the world. We go outside our border lines.
Yes.
Very, very different from decades ago.
Right.
I need to emphasize another aspect or another part and parcel of our foreign policy. We are a grateful nation. We are a grateful nation. We remember, we cherish, we treasure the assistance, the friendship, the cooperation by foreign friends and comrades throughout the world to Vietnam during our dark times. And while reaching out to the world, becoming and embraced by the entire world. Now remember, for example, we have been elected most recently as a member of the Human Rights Council. Twice, right? Twice, immediately.
Yes.
The competition is very hard there, I believe it.
Yes.
But still we have done it successfully with a very high vote for our seat. At the same time, we always remember how and what has made us today. Of course, our own effort is the most important thing. But at the same time, foreign assistance, foreign cooperation, foreign friendship would be there and is always there.
Vietnam marks this important political milestone. Interest and attention extend well beyond the conference hall and even beyond Vietnamese borders. Across the country, many foreign residents and professionals living in Vietnam are also closely watching following the opening of the 14th National Party Congress.
Well, thank you so much, Huynh. And to illustrate that, we now go live to Da Nang, one of Vietnam's most dynamic and livable cities. Joining us there is John Saboe, a Canadian contributor who has been living and working in the city for several years. Hello, John. Good morning. Where you are in Da Nang, how is the atmosphere today as Vietnam opens its 14th National Party Congress?
Thanks, Dylan. I'm outside the Da Nang Administrative Center. Locals often call it the Corn Building because of its shape. It's the city's main one-stop hub for public administrative services. Around Da Nang, in places like this and other public spaces, there are flags, banners, and displays marking the 14th National Party Congress. Even for foreigners living here, it's very clear that this is a significant national moment.
Well, thank you, John. As someone who lives and works in Vietnam, what stands out to you about how this national event is being observed and discussed among foreign residents there?
Dylan, I can't speak for everyone, but many foreigners are watching this Congress with great respect. It doesn't resonate with us the same way emotionally that it does with Vietnamese people, but we clearly understand its importance. People are also watching for the direction that comes out of this Congress, particularly when it comes to visas, immigration, and continued foreign investment. While the details won't be discussed here, there's reassurance in the emphasis on stability, long-term planning, and international cooperation. And that sense of stability and direction is what many here are paying very close attention to. Now, as Vietnam prepares for the 14th National Party Congress, efforts to improve living conditions continue across the country. In central Vietnam, new homes have been built under the Quang Trung campaign. We now go live to Vietnam Today's My Kind with more. My Kind, what kind of changes are you seeing happening on the ground there?
Well, thank you for that report from Da Nang City Center, John. And it's clear that from the administrative heart of the city, the 14th National Party Congress is being closely followed, not just by the local community, but also by the foreign community living and working right here in central Vietnam as well. And actually, just about an hour from where you're standing, John, the people of Thượng Đức Commune are also closely following the National Party Congress with great interest and a very special sense of optimism as well. This commune was one of the hardest hit areas during the successive floods and typhoons which passed through central Vietnam in 2025, during which many families had lost their homes to the flood. But now those families are moving into newly built permanent houses, just like this one right next to me.
All right, and to continue that conversation, Mike, what does this project reflect about efforts to bring development and social security to remote areas?
The program reflects a clear commitment to closing the development gap between rural areas and urban areas. Under the Quang Trung campaign, central policies are enacted at grassroots level, ensuring housing security for the most vulnerable communities. Prioritizes the people's welfare first and foremost as the country enters the 14th National Party Congress.
As Vietnam prepares to open the 14th National Party Congress, the sense of anticipation is clearly felt beyond the conference venue, across the streets and public spaces of the capital. We now go live to Hanoi, where our reporter Thuy Linh is bringing you the atmosphere of the capital. Thuy Linh, good morning. What is the atmosphere like there right now?
Good morning from Hanoi. Now, the atmosphere across the capital here today is so vibrant and full of national pride. We're seeing red flags with yellow stars everywhere, as well as banners marking the 14th National Party Congress. And many people are choosing to spend the day reflecting on the country's journey and future.
The 12th National Congress of the Communist Party of Vietnam focused on strengthening the building of a clean and strong party, promoting the strength of the entire nation.
So here at the Ho Chi Minh Presidential Rally site, that patriotic spirit is clearly on display through an exhibition highlighting the history and development of the Communist Party of Vietnam. And this morning's exhibition actually welcomes a lot of visitors, including foreigners, Vietnamese, and I actually saw some students over there, so come and ask how they feel. Hello. Where do you all come from?
I am a student at the Diplomatic Academy of Vietnam.
So am I.
So what would be the reason for you coming to today's exhibition?
I want to explore the city of Athens, the president. So I and my friend decided to pay a visit to the exhibitions.
And upon seeing the display, how do you feel?
The accomplishments shown in today's exhibition has strengthened my love for the nation and strengthened my belief in the party's leadership.
Well, thank you very much. Now let's continue our journey over there. Hello, are you all students from the Diplomatic Academy of Vietnam?
Yes.
So from your perspective, how can youngsters share their love for the country?
I think that young people have a wide range of ways, like they can do volunteering or using technology for good changes.
As you know, the 14th National Party Congress is taking place. So what do you hope for the Congress?
So as a diplomacy student, I'm really looking forward to new policies and real opportunities that empower young generation like us to take part more actively in Vietnam's development.
And what about you?
I hope that the party congress will elect
visionaries and competent leaders, and then put forward the progressive and practical policies, and then lay down the foundation for Vietnam development and priority.
Well, thank you very much. Well, that's it. These are the voices of young people, and they reflect their pride in the nation and hope for a better future. And as the nation looks ahead, we can clearly see that the young people are ready to take on that challenge and the responsibility.
Lá cờ để biết chúng ta tự do, dù ai xuôi ngược chốn nào, nhìn lên sẽ thấy tự hào.
Now, beyond the former agenda and working session, what stands out is the strong confidence placed in the Congress by people across Vietnam and overseas. At the core of this confidence is a deep sense of trust in the National Party Congress, in its decisions and in the future direction of the country. From within the country to overseas Vietnamese communities, confidence in strategic decisions and in a prosperous development path for Vietnam is being widely shared.
The greatest expectation of all citizens is a successful Congress, selecting deserving leadership team.
We believe the most important factor is electing the right people. Those entrusted by the party and the state must fully uphold their responsibilities, devote their efforts to serving the nation and the people. Only then can society and the country continue to develop.
I hope that under the leadership of the Communist Party of Vietnam, the country will ensure maximum welfare for the people and continue to develop its socio-economic foundation in line with public aspirations.
I hope the 14th Party Congress will be a special milestone in Vietnam's development history, not only removing bottlenecks, but also introducing new approaches, goals, and models to promote comprehensive national development.
I believe that the 14th Party Congress will create substantial momentum for national development, starting with stronger private sector growth, enabling it to drive innovation and integrate more deeply into domestic and global value chains.
We closely follow the 14th Party Congress with deep confidence and expectations. Amid fast-changing and unpredictable global dynamics, Vietnam will continue to uphold strategic autonomy, strengthen national self-reliance, and confidently pursue its own development path.
And now let us turn to the live pictures coming from the National Convention Center in Hanoi, where the 14th National Congress of the Communist Party of Vietnam is officially opening. This Congress is of particular significance as it will not only define the goals, tasks, and key solutions for the 2026 to 2030 term, but also shape the country's development vision through to 2045.
Presidium and the Secretariat to the stage to begin the Congress.
The ambassador.
Spirit of strategic self-government, self-empowerment, and technologies is entailing epoch. The population continues to, while combined.
14th National Convention Center broadcasting the opening ceremony of the 14th National Party Congress. And as part of the jubilant nationwide atmosphere of this Congress, 14th National Party Congress of the Communist Party of Vietnam, officers, soldiers, and people on the Spratly Islands have been carrying out many meaningful activities over the past few days. And so here's an update from our reporter, Mai Hai Nam, who is in the Spratly Special Zone.
In the run-up to the 14th National Party Congress, officers and soldiers across the Spratlys are getting creative in showing their patriotism and confidence in the party's leadership. And this picture showing the new Vietnam after the administrative reorganization last year perfectly reflects such spirits.
This picture was inspired by the party and state's policies to renew the country. We also believe that with thorough preparations and the people's support, the party congress will be highly successful.
Catching up on updated news from the mainland to keep up to date with the country's development has long been part of the work of soldiers and officers on the Spratlys. From thoughts to actions, they always stick to the duty of protecting Vietnam's sovereignty at seas with the proud tradition of Spratly soldiers.
Ensuring combat readiness and protection for the party congress is a proud and huge responsibility for every Spratly soldier. We maintain constant patrols and guard to ensure the highest security and full awareness of fulfilling our duties.
Both of my grandfathers are revolutionaries. I am inspired by them. I want to devote my youth to the front line of safeguarding our motherland.
For residents on the Spratly Islands, the 14th Party Congress is also an occasion when they can voice their expectations for the leadership and policies in a new tenure.
We hope that the 14th National Party Congress will be successful so that the party and state's policies can help improve our water and power supplies, our spiritual life, and care for women and children on the islands.
Just like any part of the country, a blaze of red is filling all corners of the Spratlys these days, representing islanders' lived spirit, trust in the party, and hope for a bright future with stronger development for the country. Hai Nam for Vietnam Today from the Spratly Islands.
Capturing that spirit, we would love to ask our two guests here. Obviously, throughout you both diplomatic careers, you've engaged with leaders, policymakers, and communities around the world. Based on those experiences, how is Vietnam often perceived by international partners today?
I think that an invaluable asset of Vietnam is its people. I can mention several reasons why I say that. But the first is the indomitable resilience. One of the greatest assets of Vietnam is their people, is its people. The resilience, and I remember Dominic Scriven, you know, the longtime founder and CEO or chairman of Dragon Capital. He said they never give up. They never give up. And of course, the government has to also help, but they don't just wait to be helped. They help themselves first. Second is, it was mentioned by Ambassador Giang, but I want to make it a bit clearer even. That is to say, the ability to overcome and to show compassion. Frankly, with the legacies of Agent Orange, we could become very bitter. People in central Vietnam, particularly the most heavily affected province, Quang Tri, they could be really embittered. And so that ability, I think, speaks a lot for the Vietnamese and attracts, against a lot of respect for, I think the personality, this very dignified and humane personality of the Vietnamese that you already mentioned earlier.
Yes.
Well, resilience is your word.
Yeah, resilience.
And I'm totally for it. But together with resilience, or behind resilience, there is something else. I believe the word optimism. Looking forward to the future, the spirit of looking forward to the future, that makes Vietnamese people Vietnamese. And for this, we cannot play with it. We need to be serious. And it can only be part of our nature to do it and to show it to the world and to show it to ourselves. The advantages, including political stability, including economic growth and development, including cultural something. But in the final analysis, it's the people. It's the people. It's the heart and the mind of the Vietnamese make us Vietnamese today.
Yes, and on that basis, I want to bring up a term which is soft power, which has been increasingly discussed in global discussions as of late. And I want to ask Madam Ninh, from your perspective, what does Vietnam's soft power today would consist of?
The term soft power, it's a living concept which has evolved a lot since then. And soft power today, I believe, is much more complex, and it's an aggregate. The fact that we are where we are today economically, I think it's part of Vietnam's soft power, or at least its soft power narrative.
Yes.
We've been able to make it against all odds, you see. Now, thirdly, of course, into identity and culture. Therefore, we need to treasure culture and to keep it alive as part of our soft power. But you cannot squeeze it into just business.
Yes.
You see, we need to keep it on the side of identity.
But I do have to say, though, as someone who has studied abroad, I do feel that being placed among people from different cultures really opens yourself to the question, who are you amongst all of the identities around the world? And I think that is the question we always need to mull over and answer. And as Vietnam steps into a new era, especially with the 14th Party Congress, National Party Congress, we will keep mull over that question and keep finding out what is the red thread that connects all of us and what makes Vietnam Vietnam, like you said. Ambassador Giang, I would really want to cap this section of our talk with a question. Again, what is your opinions on soft power?
Well, I really appreciate the way Madam Ninh has mentioned the evolution of soft powers and the concept about soft powers. It has evolved so radically, so considerably over the years into becoming an aggregate outcome of everything that is incorporated into policy making and policy implementation. The way you prepare things, the way you look at things, the way you make them components of your policy, and the way you implement policies all reflect how a soft power or a combination of soft powers will become a reality. We are proud, but we are not satisfied. And it is the dissatisfaction that leads to development, further development in future. And it is part of the soft power of this nation, I believe.
Right, and now we have to turn back with the live signal from the National Convention Center. And at this very moment, Party General Secretary To Lam is presenting the report of the 13th Party Central Committee on the documents to be submitted to the 14th National Congress of the party. Now, the draft documents to be submitted to the 14th National Congress of the party propose elevating foreign affairs and international integration to the same level as national defense and security, defining it as a key and regular task. To date, this proposal has received high praise from researchers and experts. The election of the 14th term Party Central Committee is one of the key agenda items to be carried out at the 14th National Party Congress. And so according to established practice, after the Congress elects the new Central Committee, the committee will convene its first plenary session held during the Congress itself to elect the Politburo, the General Secretary, the Secretariat, the Central Inspection Commission, and the Chairperson of the Central Inspection Commission. The election results will be reported and announced before the Congress concludes. In terms of content, the draft documents submitted to the 14th National Party Congress focus on the goal of making Vietnam a developing country with modern industry and a high middle income by 2030 and a developed country with high income by 2045.
The selfless sacrifices of generations of revolutionary predecessors, party members, compatriots, and comrades who have worked.
Your opinion?
Decisions were taken to support the ongoing reform process because
ideal, so that
how the people come together for the
that kind of image, the party and.
Now witnessing the opening session of the 14th National Party Congress, a moment that sets the tone for the days ahead. And now back to the studio, we will reflect on what this opening will mean or signals for Vietnam's future direction and the expectations moving forward. So I would like to ask both of our guests, now as the Congress moves into the working days ahead, what are your expectations for the discussions to come?
First of all, will be a reaffirmation of the strategic directions and policies set up by the party and adopted by the Congress itself. And second, of course, the positioning, the election of the leadership. But as we discussed earlier, I mean, the overall trajectory for the 5 coming years, I think, is very clear. And again, we should get back to the nature of this moment. As I said earlier, this is Vietnam's moment or date with destiny to take off. I personally choose to use that kind of image to convey the profound and long-term significance and meaning of this Congress. So it shouldn't be just the party leadership, the party members, but the people, the population at large. Because do you have the popular support?
And in 2025, we've seen Vietnam's development incredible progress. We've also witnessed how the people come together for the 50 years of national reunification,
Yes.
80 years of national independence. I want to ask Ambassador Zhang, how confident are you about the success of this Congress and the outcomes it will deliver?
During the runners-up to the Congress, millions of comments have been made by the population. They are very, very important inputs for consideration, while expecting these comments to be considered seriously and incorporated appropriately into the documents. I also expect that the Congress delegates would continue the traditional way of discussions, being straightforward, being constructive, and being for the people. I believe that the Congress would come to conclusion with a resolution heartily expected for by the population, which is both visionary and immediate, both practical and ideal, so that the resolution of the Party Congress will be the resolution of the population, of the nation.
Thank you so much, both of our guests, for not only your insights into how the 14th National Party Congress is going to unfold in the coming days, and to our audiences, we also connect with international friends, because they are also very highly engaged in this momentous event of Vietnam, as well as sending their best wishes. So please take it away.
On the occasion of this important and meaningful event, I would like to extend my best wishes to all comrades for continued success in fulfilling their duties, with a view of translating the party resolutions into reality and building a prosperous, civilized, equitable, democratic, sustainable, and continuously developing Vietnam.
Que Vietnam siga mostrando.
We firmly believe and expect that Vietnam will continue to uphold its chosen path to development, building a people-centered society, advancing national development under a socialist-oriented framework, in harmony with the environment, in peace and with proactive integration into the international community.
The Palestinian people always wish our Vietnamese friends, whom we consider them as brother and sister, to continue the process of success in order to keep Vietnam as a constructive member of the international community, to keep Vietnam as a strong, prosperous country.
The Communist Party plays a very important role in the development of Vietnam and has been playing for decades. The Communist Party, I think, also focused a lot on international cooperation, supporting a lot of multilateral institutions, which has become very important and crucial in the world today.
I would hope that Vietnam will continue on this reform trajectory that it embarked on last year. I do think that for the 14th National Congress, I think it would be a very desirable outcome if firm decisions were taken to support the ongoing reform process, because I think that is something that would benefit Vietnam hugely, hence also the Vietnamese people.
George extended its warmest wishes to the people of Vietnam and the Communist Party as Vietnam enters a new term. European businesses deeply value Vietnam's ambition, openness to reform, as well as stability. With pragmatic implementation, continued dialogue, and joint long-term commitment.
On the occasion of this Congress, I really hope that Vietnam will have a clearer direction, and I also hope for good results that will make Vietnam more advanced and bring a brighter future.
Wish the next 14th Party Congress success and draw a clear path for Vietnam to continue what it has started 90 years ago.
And last but not least, allow me to send my best wishes for the new lunar year, because you are very close now to the Tet holidays. Chúc mừng năm mới.
And And with that, we come to the end of our special coverage of the 14th National Party Congress. And throughout this coverage, we have brought you voices from inside Conference Hall, perspectives from our guests, and on-the-ground reporting from multiple locations.
That is right. Our sincere thanks to our correspondents and production teams working tirelessly in the field, ensuring timely, accurate, and in-depth coverage. We'd also like to thank our guests for joining us in sharing their valuable insights during this important national event.
And of course, thank you for being with us, for following this special coverage, and for staying connected as these developments unfold. We will continue to bring you the latest updates and deeper analysis in our upcoming programs. Thank you for watching.
Once facing years of hardship and embargo, Vietnam has undergone a remarkable transformation. In just 4 days, its economy has increased 6-fold, making one of the region's most striking development stories. It also stands among the world's 46 happiest nations. The 14th National Party Congress is a significant national political event. Review of the 13th National Party Congress term. It will shape the country's leadership through the selection of key governing bodies, setting the direction for national